Hello, everyone. Session 2 of Ignite is getting started here. Embracing your job. Let's jump right in. I'm your host, Robert Earl. I'll be your facilitator, your guide, your coach to walk you through these Ignite sessions. Session 2 coming up right now. So let's take a look at this. In session 1, we really went through some details about the overview of being a real estate expert. And we discussed the value proposition of you being a part of Keller Williams Realty. Today, in this second session, we're going to talk about being the real estate expert of choice by embracing what your job is. And now you're at a point where you just got your real estate license and you're wondering, well, what is really my job? Nobody's given me a time clock. Nobody has given me instructions for what to do, where to go. I hear this, I hear that. This session is going to do a deep dive into specifically what your tasks are and what you're to do. Now, I kind of skipped over some of the sheets, everything that we need to do, any contacts that we ask you to make, just making sure that you do so in a TCPA compliant manner. Check with your office, check with your broker for more specifics about the do not call list. All right, so let's jump right in. Today's agenda, well, we're going to talk about applying the 6 competencies of being a real estate professional. We're going to recognize your role as a fiduciary for your clients. Now, let's not get hung up on that. We'll talk about it a bit more. When we use the term fiduciary, you might have learned in your real estate classes, well, our state isn't a fiduciary, or our state is only where we are not held to that particular standard. Well, we're going to talk about standards, and we're going to talk about the true meaning of fiduciary and the way that we apply it. And then that'll allow us to go in and review your success system, do some recap, and then launch today's success system as we're able to go through this. So those are the portions that we're going to do. To start thinking about what you learned today, let's consider questions that you might have and that you can put in the comments, that you can send in, so that we make sure that we get you some answers back as you go through. And we'll also start talking about accountability partners, those types of things for you to be able to work through this if you're doing this on your own or within an office environment. So, what part of being a real estate agent excites you the most? Now, I know in the number of consultations that I've done with individuals getting into real estate, a majority of them say it's the ability to help people. It's the ability to find them the home of their dreams and be able to hand them the keys. It's what we see on social media, the people holding up the big keys that, hey, we just got a successful closing, or maybe they have a gift basket or a bottle of wine. People look at that as being the definition of success. But having a real estate career in real estate can be extremely rewarding. It gives you that opportunity to support someone in making one of the most important decisions in their life. It allows you to build relationships, and it will allow you to live a big life if you do all 6 of the core competencies. Behind big results in real estate and being a successful real estate agent are the daily activities and habits. These are the small steps, but they all lead back to the big life for you. So let's talk about those day-to-day activities of a successful real estate agent, otherwise known as the 6 core competencies of a business. And these come from Gary Keller and his team and the book Shift. The 6 competencies of a business are the priorities you must focus on. Remember, in lesson 1, we talked about the 80-20 principle, the 20% that'll get you the most results. Well, these 6 core competencies are your 20%. And incorporating these 6 core competencies in your business activities can lead you to success as an agent and a business owner when you implement them at a high level. So let's go ahead and take a look at these 6 core competencies as we go through this. So the 6 roles of being a real estate agent, we're going to dive into every single one of them because this is your job as an independent business person. And it's important for you to understand each one of the competencies. Essentially, you are the business. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. I want you to say that again to yourself. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. See, in your participant guide, you'll see the 6 core competencies of the business listed that come from Shift. So let's go ahead and read through what these are. Number 1 is to lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Number 2 is then to give presentations to buyers and sellers to get agreements for them to work with you as their agent. This allows you to show buyers and market the listings of sellers. That's number 3. Number 4 is to write and negotiate contracts. Number 5, coordinate the sale of closings. And number 6, as a business person, is to manage the money. See, if we look at the overall path of Ignite, you'll see that we're going to cover all of these competencies. They're going to be building blocks for your career. You're going to see that we're going to layer these on top of each other. And what you learn now as a new or relaunching agent is going to help you. And they're going to be the same skill sets that I myself use 23, 24, 25 years in the business. I'm still having to focus on all of these 6 core competencies. Running a successful business involves engagement in every single one of these activities. So let's dive into each one of the core competencies as we go through this. Number 1, lead, generate, capture, and convert to appointments. This first competency is, shall we say, the 20% that'll get you 80% of results within the 80-20. So see what we did there? We took everything that you have to do and we focused on the 20%. And then we even focused in more granular to say that lead generate, capture, and convert business is the most important of the 6 competencies. Let me explain. If you have no leads, you have no business. Now, a story I like to tell, and I've heard this over the years, is if you and I were going to open up a dental practice where we were going to help people with cavities, teeth cleanings, all of those types of things, and we put in the best equipment. We put in the really fancy chairs where they could lean back. We put up the TV monitors. We had all of the X-ray equipment. We had all of the tools. We even staffed out our office, and we had a great front desk staff. We had a great billing department. We got dental technicians. We got the best dentists in the world. And if there was nobody sitting in the chair saying, would we really be a dentist? Would we really be a dentist shop? See, there's a lot of real estate agents that don't have anyone sitting in front of them to be able to present to, yet they still call themselves realtors. They still call themselves real estate professionals. That's not the case. You must have leads to sustain a thriving business, which is what you signed up for, correct? To be able to help people and to be able to cash checks. Now, let's break this down. What you'll learn, and it's going to be repeated over and over again, that your number 1 job is lead generation. It's a daily practice of talking to people about buying or selling real estate. It's about making yourself known so that when they have a real estate need, they think of you. See, capturing is all about obtaining accurate contact information. That's the name, the phone number, the email, the home address, and any other data that the person is willing to divulge. And they divulge this through you asking great questions. Capture also means that you're adding these people to your business database. In our case, KW Command. You put the information into the database. You may hear me use the term data bank because what I'm really looking at is I want to make deposits into my database that I can make withdrawals out of. That even if I don't see someone for a month or two, I can refer back to my data bank and be able to know information about them and what type of home they're looking for and what their current home is and what their plans are. You follow along with what I'm saying. See, capture means adding new people so you can converse with them and that you can provide a level of value. Another important component of lead generation and capture is that you ask for permission to stay in contact with each person. I tend to do this a bit through an assumptive close. Fred, love speaking with you. Appreciate that you shared that information. As a professional, I'm going to follow up with you and let you know how the marketplace is going. Sound good? They nod their head. They've given you the permission. It doesn't have to be something completely overall formal. You need to make note of that. You need to make note. Met them at an open house. Met them at a event that I held. Met them at the school PTA and sought and got permission to follow up with them. See, capturing leads is wonderful, but the ultimate goal is to then work through those individuals, develop relationships so that you can find the individuals that are getting ready to buy or sell and set appointments with them so that they agree to work with you as their agent to assist them in buying or selling real estate. We're learning and building on each new skill as we advance through this entire course of Ignite. So you're on session 2. There's a total of 20 sessions. We're going to do deep dives into each part of the process, and we're going to give you bite-sized pieces as we go along. This is why it's important for you to go through every single session and complete the course, which I'm already confident you and I are going to be spending a lot of time together, and you're going to finish through all of these sessions. So, the second core competency is to present to buyers and sellers in order to get agreements. This could be as simple as, would you like me to assist? All the way down to a formal buyer presentation and listing presentation, which you need to be prepared to do. It's about skills that you have during the appointment to be able to find out what the buyers are looking for, what's important to the seller. Presenting to buyers means going through a buyer consultation document, which outlines the entire buying process and all the steps that you will take to assist the buyer in the process. It's showing them your value proposition of why they should work with you. It also provides them with a guide. Now, shopping malls used to be all of the rage. I'm dating myself. Yet when you were in a shopping mall, they had these maps that were up, and the maps had a big star and it said, "You are here." It would let you know where you were at in the process. Bring it to more current times as you go along in the GPS process within the car. Most GPSs have a button that say recenter, because you are able to scroll ahead and see which direction am I going, which route is this taking me on. A buyer consultation will do that for a buyer to let them know step by step what to expect. You'll also be able to address any questions or concerns that the buyer will have at that time. Presenting to a seller is very similar. You go through the entire listing presentation document with them, which outlines the entire selling process, including the marketing that you'll provide, when you will be available, what steps that they have to take to prepare the home to sell, along with all of the steps that you'll take to assist them, and your team will assist them with your title companies, your other affiliated partners that you have that will assist them in the sale of your home. The expected outcome of both of these presentations is that this individual will become your client, whether it's a buyer or seller, and they will sign an exclusive agreement to work with you. You'll need all to be able to have you're going to learn how to give a successful presentation so that you can obtain a signed agreement, but that comes up in a later portion of the course. So that's why you need to go through it step by step. It's one of the key elements of Ignite. The third portion, now this is where most of the folks that get caught up in the HGTV world of real estate thinks that the relationship begins, that magically these buyers show up, magically these homes are listed for sale. But as you see, step 1 and step 2 have to occur before we get to step 3, which is showing buyers and marketing listings for sellers. So what does that mean? Showing buyers is all about understanding the needs of the buyers and working with them to select homes that fit for them based upon your experience and what you've learned from them. Marketing sellers translates into marketing their home for the best possible price and puts their property in the best possible light via the most channels to ensure that they get the most potential buyers looking at their property so that they become interested in it, write a contract, and successfully see it to closing and sale. Which brings us to our next core competency, number 4, which is writing and negotiating contracts. Now, this is a big responsibility and one that for many new agents, you're concerned about, you're anxious about completing their first contract accurately. Negotiating is another competency that requires practice, calm, and a win-win mindset. Remember, win-win is always one of KW's beliefs. It's win-win or no deal. That doesn't mean that you are going to take advantage of one party or the other. You're going to learn skill sets and have a mindset that when you approach it, that you'll consider all of the parties involved so that there can be a meeting of the minds. Number 5, we're going to coordinate the sale and be able to successfully see it through to closing. This is getting the deal all the way to that point where the buyer gets the new keys to the home, the seller releases the home to the buyer, and you get paid. Keep in mind that not all the deals make it to the close for a variety of reasons, and it takes skill and attention for you to be able to assist those buyers and sellers throughout the entire process. It takes skills, and this is why it's one of your core competencies. And the 6th and final competency is about managing your money. So you learned in day 1 that your paycheck you get upon closing doesn't go all into your pocket, that you will have a cost of sales associated with your market center, but you also have expenses that you need to pay. You have taxes that you need to account for, and you should be paying yourself first so that you have a life worth living and a legacy worth leaving. When I talk about paying yourself first, it's not spending the money, it is putting money aside for investing and saving. There's a great KWU course that you can take called Profitability or Agent Financials. And you'll find that it'll come up on a regional calendar. I would really encourage you to take that at some point within your first 12 to 18 months within real estate, because this is one of your core competencies that we acknowledge and that we appreciate here at Keller Williams. See, all of these items fit in because mindset matters. Your mindset each and every day is going to be very, very important about how you perceive your role within the real estate relationships, how you perceive the core competencies, and most importantly, how you think about lead generation being the number one and most important competency as you go through. You see, if you remember the 6 perspectives that we went through in session 1, it's important to keep your mindset programmed to success and continue to believe in yourself. And when you need a pick-me-up, it's important for you to go to the charging station known as your market center and reconnect with your productivity coach. Or if you have a productivity coach such as myself that is remote, that you make sure that you drop them a note, that you don't become a secret agent, that you stay connected with them so that they can help give you a checkup from the neck up, meaning that they check on your mindset. Maintaining a mindset that is focused on being of service. See, adopting a mindset and a philosophy and contributing to the lives of others allows you to be direct and to the point in your interactions with others. This focus on coming from contribution and being of service allows you to communicate more effectively with customers and win their hearts and minds effortlessly. Energy, enthusiasm, these are deeply rooted in doing the best job possible for each and every customer that attracts you and will make you attractive to others to want to work with you. Take opportunities to educate the people in your personal, professional, and social life about what you do and how you help them. And sometimes you'll have to overcome barriers of their past experiences of working with an agent that didn't have the training and didn't take the time that you are taking by going through this Ignite course. You're going to have to reprogram them a little bit by showing that you show up and that you care and that you're coming from contributions. These reminders for people in your network can lead to many, many referrals. This is why the mindset matters. So let's dive in. Let's discuss some of the realities about being a real estate agent. How long on average does it take to get a buyer or seller to sign a contract for a sale or listing? Well, if we were realistic about it, if we were holding an open house today and a buyer came through, we would have to have a time to talk with them, set up an appointment, and be able to then get them to agree to work with us, set up times to show properties, and then look at finding the right property. This might take a couple evenings, it might take a couple days, it might take a couple weekends. It could take 0 to 60 days, depending on how much time you put into lead generation and where you find somebody within the buying or selling process. Then once we actually find the home that they're looking for, write a contract and negotiate it, we're looking at 30 to 45 to 60 days for them to be able to close on the property. So how quickly do you want to get paid, and how long can you really go without a payday? See, I can't stress this enough how important it is that you develop your skill sets, even if you're trying to do this as a dual career agent or somebody that is trying to do this part-time or fit this in around their other job. There are skills that you have to work on a daily basis. These skills are lead generating every day, talking to people every single day, putting that information into your database of contacts, communicating with these people about real estate, whether that be you directly reaching out to them or you making touches or having a drip campaign of information that goes out to them via text, email in a TCPA compliant manner, committing to go on appointments and having the time set aside, and then practicing conversations so that you can get better. Remember, anyone can do it, not everyone will. You remember that quote from session 1? So my question is, will you? Will you lead generate, build your database, communicate with them, go on appointments, and practice conversations? I'm going to interject something here as well. Are you also willing to get a portion of the transaction versus zero of the transaction? What do I mean by this? You have a family that comes into town, the Jacksons. You've been working with them, and you have a full-time 9-to-5 job, and they need to look at properties on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday while they're in town. Develop a relationship with a full-time agent in your office. I can't stress this enough. And be willing to allow the full-time agent to work with these individuals while they're in town, and work out that you get a referral agreement. I would rather get 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%. This is negotiable between you and the agent that you work with, the full-time agent. I would rather have you get a percentage of the commission versus 100% of nothing because you weren't able to get the time off and be able to work with them. It's better to get something back on your investment than nothing. I also say this because a lot of agents, because they don't see where they would be able to have the appointments, they don't have their time schedule, they're then reluctant to talk to people because they're afraid that the individual is going to want to set an appointment and that won't work with their schedule. Get out of your own way. Anyone can do it, not everyone will. Will you? Will you take the advice, and will you commit to what I'm talking about here? And will you commit to the core competencies? See, there's another quote in the book Shift that says to achieve, let me go back up here again. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and done well. Get your calendar out right now, even if you are a part-time or a dual career agent, and start to circle some time blocks where you are going to commit to doing these competencies. Right now, your competencies are learning. It's taking these 20 sessions. When you get done with these 20 sessions, you're going to replace that time with lead generation and appointment times. So read this quote, memorize it if you have to, because these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and they need to be done well. So I'm going to pause this for a bit in your student guide. I'm not pausing. You can go ahead and pause the video, go to your participant guide, and list down some ahas that you got out of this session. Maybe it was how important lead generation is. Maybe it was talking about the skill sets that you don't know what to present to a buyer, what to present to a seller, and it rededicates you to finishing all of the sessions within Ignite. Maybe it was talking about plugging in with mindset, dropping me a note and having someone that works with you either remotely as a productivity coach or connecting with the productivity coach within your market center, your office, so that they can assist you with your mindset and with the next steps. And maybe it's partnering with a full-time agent that is able to assist while you're working. So, I'll go ahead and hit pause, list those things out. Okay, it's great to have you back with us. I'm glad that you actually took some time to be able to go through this. So our next step that we're going to look at, the next portion that we're going to transition into, is the role of being a fiduciary to your clients. So let's discuss that a bit more and talk about the difference between a functionary versus a fiduciary. Let's imagine doing business with a company, for example, a car repair company, and they really don't care about your needs. They just focus on getting the job done and getting paid. They don't build a relationship with you. They don't stay in contact with you during the job. They don't give you updates. You don't know what to expect as regarding how much it's going to cost you. They don't do that during the job or after the job. Now let's compare this to doing business with a different car repair company. This one listens to you. They anticipate your needs. They help you make decisions. They educate you on the entire process and what your choices are. They act like a partner in the process. They keep you updated on the status of the work. They let you know what to expect regarding billing and how much it's going to cost. And they even follow up with you after the job. See, what's the difference? The first company was acting as a functionary. They were just strictly doing the function that was involved. In real estate, we see these individuals just strictly being order takers. They are not consultants. They're not working with their customers and clients in a professional manner. The second company is acting as a fiduciary. Your role as a respected and successful agent is to be a fiduciary. See, in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, Gary Keller explains a functionary is one who is a specific task relationship with their clients. They do the job, while a fiduciary is one that not only takes on the task of the job, they develop a high trust relationship with their clients, and they feel responsible for the outcome. This is essentially important in real estate when people are making one of the most expensive purchases that they ever will in their life. So why would a prospective buyer or seller prefer to work with an agent who presents themselves as a fiduciary versus a functionary? You see, a fiduciary places their client's interest ahead of all others, even their own. So what does this mean? Win-win or no deal. If the transaction doesn't benefit the client, then it's no deal. So in your participant guide, there are some differences that are listed between functionary and fiduciary. So I want you to review through those, take your highlighter, circle some of the things or highlight some of the items on the fiduciary side that really resonate with you. Because when you do this, this is going to start to give you an indication of your value proposition, that what is important to you and why individuals should work with you. See, being a fiduciary is really a big deal. It's an honor, and more important now, more than ever in today's marketplace, to wear that as a badge of honor, shall we say. Helping your clients understand your role as a technical fiduciary is a big part of what you're able to offer as an agent. And a side note here from myself with my years of experience is the more you do this, the better you are communicating this, the less discussions you will get and the less pushback you will get about cutting your fees and commissions. So just file that away a little bit. So let's talk about examples of how we can serve your clients in a fiduciary manner. In the exercise, it really talks about if we were doing this together, we would look at this and we would look at one of the core competencies. So I want to look at this from the standpoint of lead generation. And we're going to talk about the difference between a functionary and a fiduciary as we're able to go through this. In your time, you can also do this through all of the 6 levels that you would go through. So, in lead generation, capture, and converting to appointments, one of the ways that you can show up as a fiduciary as we're able to go through this, and being a fiduciary is the ability to, get to here to the right screen, is the ability for you, there we go, we'll get to this next part there, okay. You will be anticipating the needs of someone in your sphere of influence who is considering selling their home. You're going to be providing them with market information. You're going to be staying in tune with every single month the information that Keller Williams talks about, the market conditions. You're going to know the market conditions on a national level. You're going to know them on a state level and into your city, into the neighborhood that this individual lives in. And you're going to provide information about those details. Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? This is what we mean by anticipating the needs and then being able to offer services. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you like to know what your home is currently worth based upon the recent legislative changes that took place? Based upon the latest economic reports, would you like to see how that impacts your particular property? If we were able to get X for your property, would you be willing to sell? This is you anticipating and looking out for them as a fiduciary. And we could give examples about presenting offers or showing buyers or writing and negotiating contracts or coordinating the sale to closing. And this might be partnering with a good title company. It might also be employing out of your own proceeds as your expense a transaction coordinator, especially as a newer agent, to help you through all of the different steps that are involved to coordinate the sale to closing. These are ways that you can show up as a fiduciary within this. Now, the reason that it jumped here and it went through to the 6 core competencies is this complexion of that 6 competencies is also applying for yourself as the owner of your own business in managing your money, specifically the financial health of your company. See, you can serve as a fiduciary to your business. Managing your money means responsible for how you handle those finances. Would you trust somebody with a high dollar purchase if they can't even manage their own finances? Of course not. So, you taking care of yourself and your own finances will start to give you confidence, will give you validity. Managing your own money also leads to financial security. When you have financial security, you will make better decisions on behalf of your clients because it will be about them, not about you and what you need And you might have heard the term commission breath. When you're worried about your own finances, you start interjecting yourself in the transaction in a way where you're just trying to get the function done to get paid, versus looking out for the win-win relationship of being a fiduciary. There may be times that you choose to decline a deal because it doesn't allow you to remain in high integrity with yourself or your clients. In session 1, we talked about the why for C2Ts. And part of the win-win is also integrity. Do the right thing. And it's far better for you to walk away from a transaction than to get caught up in something that could cost you your license. So look at this. How is being a fiduciary going to take you from being a good agent to being a great agent? So take a little bit of time in your study guide and look at the section on functionary versus fiduciary. Jot down a couple ahas in your participant guide. Leave them in the comments. I would love to have that here in the video so that others can see what you've come up with, or drop me a direct message. And I appreciate you taking a moment. You can pause this at any time to work on that. Then restart the video and come back, and I would appreciate you sharing that information again in a direct message or in the comments, because you're not just helping yourself, you'll be helping others as well. So in this particular session, we're going to dive a little bit further into the daily success system, which is part of your daily Ignite course. The daily success system gets you in the habit of lead generation and making contacts while in the company of fellow Ignite participants. If you were in a class and I was in a class with you, on the whiteboard, we would have a place for you to report your numbers and report your information and see how you're doing, so we can give you encouragement, so that we could talk about other items and you could compare yourself to others. In this case, you're going to have some integrity and do this yourself. You're going to have to take the time to go through the information and be able to go through this on a continuous basis. Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads that you have. There it is, spelled out there right for you by Gary Keller in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. What you have to embrace, this also comes from The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, what you have to embrace is the fact that is the number of qualified leads that you have that will either grow your business, keep your business, or put you out of business. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact as is the number of leads that you have. So why do you think cultivating leads is so essential to the success of your business? I want you to stop and think about that for a little bit. Pause this if you have to. Make notes in your participant guide. I'm going to let you do that right now. I'm going to repeat the question. Why do you think cultivating leads are so essential to the success of your business? See, although lead generation and lead follow-up are the most important priorities you have when running and growing a thriving business, sometimes they may feel the most uncomfortable to do, especially as a new agent. Feeling at ease when talking to people you know and don't know about how you can help them with their real estate needs is a skill that needs to be developed, and it takes time to develop. Now, you have a choice right now. You can either pull back from the marketplace and say, And you're going to hear me use this term in many of the sessions. You can choose to get ready, to get ready, to get ready, to get ready. And guess what? This approach doesn't help you find leads, and it doesn't help you cash checks. What's most important, one of the best ways to feel more important and more comfortable, more comfortable communicating with potential leads is by role playing or real playing, by actually having conversations, whether that be with another agent in your office, whether it be with your productivity coach directly or indirectly, a virtual productivity coach, or practicing the most common conversations with those individuals or with your friends, family, those folks that are closest to you in your sphere of influence. It's imperative to have some level of accountability system in place. This will help support you on a consistent basis in lead generation and lead follow-up. One of you that's watching this is going to take me up on this, and daily you're going to email me how you did on your daily success system. Robert at Ask the Earl. That'll work just fine. You can get that information to me and we'll be able to know, and I will give you a attaboy, attagirl that will come back to you in the email. So we'll talk a little bit more now about that accountability that you can put in place. Accountable people achieve results that others can only dream of. That comes from Gary Keller in the book, The One Thing. We introduced in the first session in the 6 personal perspectives, the 6th perspective, which was be accountable. What are your ahas today from this particular quote? Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. Make note of it in your student guide. You see, accountability is a crucial part of achieving your goals. When you report to someone else, but wait a second, Robert, I thought I was an independent contractor. I thought I didn't have a direct boss. I thought I didn't have to fill out a TPS report. I'm dating myself with a movie reference there, but I thought I didn't have to do this type of reporting. You are correct. You don't have to. Yet, accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. You have a choice to make. You see, think of accountability as a process. It is difficult to maintain drive over the long term, but when you must defend your actions to an objective observer, not your spouse, not your partner, they're going to go easy on you, it becomes easier to stay focused. Accountability is about getting and implementing feedback. You must take time on a regular planned basis to meet with whoever is holding you accountable, to look at your numbers, and to refocus your efforts. Now, when we talk about accountability, you have a couple choices. Like I said, you can have a productivity coach that has an arrangement with you that you're either directly paying as a business coach, or you're going to share part of your future commissions with the individual that's going to assist you. Or you could partner up with another agent in the market center that's similar to where you're at in your journey to be able to go through. This is why we encourage you in Ignite to partner up with another participant. It's just also, if you're taking this virtually, it is a hurdle. I'm going to let you know that. It is a hurdle that you need to overcome. The benefit of having an accountability partner is that it will increase your productivity, period. It will keep you on track and check with you on your goals. You will provide accountability back to the other individual. So we suggest that you follow these guidelines that are listed in your participant guide and listed right here, because this will show you the correct way to have an accountability relationship. If we look at this, you have to set a frequency of checking in with each other. That's why I talked about the emails that might come to me. You're going to respect each other in the process. This isn't to have a beat down. This isn't for you to say, well, you shoulda, woulda, coulda, those types of things. We have a term I like to use that don't should on yourself. And this gives you an opportunity to say, what got in your way? What can we do better next time? Be open to receiving that feedback and have each other's best interest in mind. As you could tell by me taking the time to do these sessions, I haven't even met you maybe, yet I have your best interest in mind because I know how valuable other accountability partners have been to me over the course of my career. So take a moment, list out what is your plan of action when it comes to accountability. How are you going to go through this and choose a accountability partner? And if it's in writing as to what your plan is, it's more likely for it to actually come through. This allows us to jump into then the daily success system of what we're talking about, what we're going through, and what are the actions that we give as a prescription or as a recipe for you to be successful. See, if I asked you to bake a cake and you didn't include eggs, you didn't include milk, you chose not to include flour, would the recipe turn out? Well, all of these are steps for you to take in your tracking and activities for you to go through. Today, we're going to focus on the first 3 activities, and we'll discuss the other activities further in follow-up sessions. The first activity that we're going to dive into a little bit is what we're talking about with regard to having conversations. Secret agents don't cash checks. You have to reach out and you have to have conversations with individuals. And you need to be able to add new individuals that you're having conversations with. And then you need to reach out with them with direct contacts. Handwritten notes will make the most impact, yet direct messages, direct emails are also ways in which you can work on this and you can achieve this. So, this is why we look at the daily success systems as we go through. If you can't measure it, you can't improve this. And this came from a world-renowned management consultant, Peter Drucker. Once you get done with Ignite, I would recommend a couple books for you. Drop me a message so that we can show you some of the books that I would recommend from Peter Drucker that focus on these activities. But how does this quote apply to the success system? The success system may seem like a tall mountain to climb. 10 people, 10 new people, writing to them, talking to them. Yes, but it can be achieved by measuring and improving it every day. Top agents measure their important numbers so that they can improve. I myself, 20 some years in the business, still every single day have a spreadsheet where I make note of how many times do I dial the phone, how many voicemail messages do I leave, how many people do I actually talk with, how many appointments do I set out of that, how many appointments do I actually hold, how many of those appointments turn into agreements, how many contracts I write on that day, and how many successful closings. As a bald guy, this is probably funny to say, but the next day I wash rinse, repeat, and do it all over again. I follow the success system in making the contacts. Now, what do I say to these people? How do I have conversations? Well, now we're going to go through and we're going to reinforce what we talked about in session 1. Session 1, we talked about Ford. The ability, the prompter in your mind where it is an approachable way to start a conversation with you in your sphere of influence or somebody that you just met. See, why do you think that Ford works in a conversation? And why does it work as a method that we prescribe to you to apply? Well, the reason is that it puts the focus on the other person. It actually shows that you care about the person more than just a transaction. You're getting to know about them, their family, their occupation, their job, their recreation, what they do in their spare time, and what are their future dreams? What are they trying to accomplish? What are the questions that you could ask about members of your sphere in just each one of these areas? This gives you an opportunity in your participant guide to go in and write some prompters. What would you ask about family? How are the kids doing? Do you have any family that lives in this area? Where are you originally from? That might be something that would prompt it. Are you in the same area that your family is, or are they in a different area? Remember, this might work for referrals for them having partners or family members in other parts of the country that you could refer an agent to. Besides the Ford method, you can also show gratitude and appreciation with folks. Always make sure that you are responding back to what they said. This isn't about a me too type of thing from the standpoint of, well, you grew up there, you worked here, me too. This is about them and finding out the information and then making note of it in your database. There are some best practices. Ford is not an interview. It's not an interrogation. It's meant as a prompter to stimulate a conversation that is going to become a two-way dialogue. When the person that you're working with or you're talking with gets it, they're going to ask you the same types of questions. Your role is to ask a question and then listen carefully without interruption. I'm going to repeat that part. You need to listen carefully without interruption. Then make comments, add your own thoughts, ask more probing questions. We sometimes call this going 3 deep. You ask the original question. You ask a second question that gets more information about that. You ask a third question that gets even more information about that. Asking more questions is especially important. And they must be appropriate questions. For example, when a person answers an occupation question, well, I got laid off and I'm unemployed, you wouldn't jump right into the recreation question. That would be pretty insensitive and rude. Instead, you would ask appropriate questions. How can I help you? What type of job are you looking for? I can ask around and find out who's hiring if that would be of any assistance to you. You come through for them in their most critical moment. You make note of this and you actually activate your network on their behalf. They will become customers and clients for life. Likewise, if the response to an occupation question was, well, I just started a new job, you wouldn't come back and say, well, great, what are you doing on the weekends? Your response would be, well, how's that working out for you in the job? Are you enjoying it so far? That would be going a little bit further into it about going into the Ford and going through the details of it. Your participant guide is going to give you some more examples of this. But even if you haven't talked to somebody in a period of time, here would be an example that we would go through. Hi, it's been some time since we've talked. How's the family doing these days? Have the kids gone back to school? How old is your youngest now? See, the participant will go through. They'll say, well, you know what? My kids are back in school too. We're all healthy. We're working now. Or where are you working now? Are you working from home, or have you been called back into the office? These types of things will prompt it, because them being called back in the office may be a prompt that they need to be closer to the office. Real estate will come up organically out of this. You don't need to press them for their real estate needs. When they like you, know you, and trust you, they will share with it. The next portion is for you to start your sphere, for you to go into your command database. You're already paying for it as being a part of a Keller Williams member. So this is where you're actually going to go in and start to add your contacts to your command database. Contacts are people who have agreed to be in two-way relationship communications with you. You start with the people in your sphere and be able to put these in. Now, your market center will have a tech trainer that will be able to work through with you. There also are plenty of videos on YouTube that will give you the latest information about how to add a contact to command. So I'm not going to take time on this particular video to be able to go through these details. But this is a critical step that you get this information. If I was working with you as an accountability partner, you'll see that there's a section right at the top that says show 1 of 10 of 10. I would be looking to see when we talk next week, is that number still at 10, or have you added it to 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 plus, 300 plus? You get what I'm talking about there. Another activity that we're talking about is to write the handwritten notes to those in your sphere. It takes a little effort, I know. You have to have cards, which you can get at Walmart. They don't need to be fancy embossed engraved cards. You can get this at any store of even dollar store. It's going to cost you the cards, the postage, the addresses, a short amount of time. It is going to set you apart. Remember the last time you got a handwritten note? I know I just went to the Keller Williams family reunion, and two of the individuals that I met there took the time to write me notes, and it prompted me, I need to be doing the same thing. People appreciate it. It distinguishes you from other agents, and top agents make this a practice because it works. So those are some activities and some things that you go through. Take your participant guide, write down some ahas as to what you went through. Feel free to share them in the comments. You're now getting part of the routine. Drop me a message, drop me a note that goes through and shows you some of the things that we go through. So let's talk about some of the ahas to achievement. How has your thinking already changed in 2 sessions? What ideas or mindsets are new to you that you're going to work on? What are your feelings about this? Are your feelings helping you, or are they hurting you? Are they in your way? Do you have to put them aside on the shelf and say that in order to be, it is up to me? How will your behavior change going forward? And most importantly, what actions are you going to take? Let's go to this part and let's really jump into it about taking action. because that's what's most important. Taking the time to reflect on what you've learned is just as important in building your confidence and celebrating your growth. You've already grown on the journey just from the fact that you have gone through both of these sessions. There will be some common themes that you'll start to see, and there'll be some habits that are helping you and some habits that are hurting you as you are going through this particular process. So we want to make sure that we key you into this. So dive a little bit further into the success system. This is your conversations that you're having in a TCPA manner so that you make sure that you're honoring any do not call list. Check with your market center as you're able to go through these particular steps. I encourage every conversation to be in the spirit of contribution. If you do that, people will be happy to be in relationship with you. And if you're having difficulties with this, find somebody in your market center, a coach, an accountability partner that you can work with to be able to go through these particular steps that you are talking about. So go ahead, do the role playing. Make your conversation list, whether it be pulling it up from your KW command or writing down who am I going to talk to today. Do that real play, whether reaching out to the individuals or having a period of time that you're talking with your accountability partner or your coach to be able to work through this. Note the amount of time that they're talking about here because you have to put in the effort. You don't just show up at Yankee Stadium and expect to hit home runs. You've got to take batting practice beforehand. And then update the contacts, the follow-ups. Look, writing the handwritten notes that she's doing here, entering the information into the database so that when you talk to this individual a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, shouldn't wait that long before you talk to them again, but life happens. If it takes a delay, you'll have that information that you learned from Ford and your Ford discussions and the questions you asked to be able to dive deeper. Update your information in your database. If you're part-time dual career, you've got to make time for this. This is going to be successful because if you don't have somebody that is a lead, you are not in business. So some of you have already gone through, you'll have some successes. Drop me a message, drop me an email. Feel free. It's not bragging. It's not bragging if you're getting it done. Put that down in the comments as to some of the activities and the things that you've gone through and the successes that you had. Hey, Robert. Hey, crew. I actually made 10 contacts today. I actually went to the store and bought my note cards and wrote those. Let's see the comments fill up with your success that you're having. You can use command, you can use connect for videos, for instructions to be able to help you with each one of these steps. Our next session, we're then going to talk about actually connecting with your marketplace to be able to go through. This is going to be the next session. You can look for that video also posted. So until next time, put in the action, take the steps, commit to your daily success, and most importantly, understand what your 6 core roles are. The first domino that kicks off every other domino is daily lead generation and conversations that you're going to have with people.